Alright, so this is video 3 on simplifying algebraic expressions. And so to simplify an algebraic expression, what do we need to do? So the first thing we're going to do is apply the distributive property. That should be an I. Distributive property. And that's mainly to clear parentheses. Then combine like terms. Okay, so that's what we will look at doing. And so for this first one, we have some parentheses. And so we have a number out here, so we need to multiply the 2 times each thing in there. We're going to distribute it. So the 6r is going to stay the same. Then we're going to have 2 times r plus 2 times 4. So that will give us 6r plus, which is 6 times r, plus 2 times r plus 2 times 4 is 8. So now that I got rid of my parentheses, now I can combine my like terms. And so the terms I have that are the same are the 6r and the plus 2r because they both have an r at the end. And so that will give us, we just add the numbers that are in front. So we have 6 plus 2 is 8r plus the constant term, the 8. And that gives us our final expression. For the second one, number 7, I'm going to use a different color. We have the 3 that will multiply by the 2 and times the c. So we're going to have 3 times 2 minus 3 times c. And then we still have this minus c at the end. So we're going to multiply that out. So 3 times 2 is 6. Minus 3 times c. I can just write it as 3c minus c. Now this final c, remember, even though we don't see a number in front of it, there's a 1 there. Because remember, 1 times anything is what? The same number, right? So now when I go to combine my like terms, these two numbers both, or these two terms both have a c in them, and so they can be combined. So I'm going to keep my 6 there, and I remember I keep the sign with it, so I think of that as a negative 3c and a negative 1c. So if I have negative 3 plus negative 1, that gives me a negative 4c. So I end up with 6 minus 4c. Number 8, we actually have 2 sets of parentheses that we're going to have to deal with. And so for it, I'm just going to go down below. I have a little more room down there. And so we're going to have the 4 times the n and 4 times the 9. So 4 times n plus 4 times 9. And then we're going to think of this as a negative 3 that's going to be distributed to each one of these. So I'm going to have that negative 3 times 2 plus that negative 3 times n. So I end up with 4 times n plus 4 times 9 is 36 minus 3 times 2 is 6 plus negative 3n, so that becomes just a minus 3n. Then I can combine my like terms, so I have a 4n and a minus 3n, so that gives me 1n. And then I have a 36, positive 36 and a minus 6. And so 36 minus 6 is 30, and it's positive, so plus 30. So my final answer, I could write, instead of 1n, I could just write it as n plus 30. And I get my answer there. So that is the end of this video and these notes. So make sure you have these taken and glued in on page 3 of your INB. If you are in Miss Wrigley's class, if you're in Miss Garner's class, I'm not sure which page it gets glued in on, but it will need to be glued in there as well. Have a good evening.